What up, gang? Deepest apologies for constantly having to clear my throat. I have no idea what's causing it. Also, it's happening to girlfriend, so fuck if we're all dying. It's probably Radon or Revlon. Maybe it's all this fucking Marie Claire makeup I have stored in the back. I gotta move this shit, guys. Seriously, eye, body, and hard. Oh, shit. Hey gang, what's up? This is gonna be a much chiller. I guess I don't need to put that widget there, do I? Yeah, I'm just turn that off, because I'll have it up on the screen. That makes a good amount of sense, guys. Hail, Rollickson folks. Hello, Blonde Plants, Better Cry, Hellbent, Nick Palmer, Rekka, me, because I'm in the chat history. How often does that happen? Took a little time today to set up this chiller streaming setup. It's not a cough drop thing. I think it has something to do with a mix of moisture and like being in a basement and probably just, I don't know, fucking COVID. Anyway, I just set this up so now I can listen to music without getting copyright strikes, which is fun. Turns out Windows now actually has very excellent routing features. I installed this thing called Ear Trumpet. Didn't really need to. Check this out. You just open this up, go to sound settings, go to device preferences, and if you have more than one output, so I'm sending my Spotify to output 3 and 4, and then I am monitoring that over here, so you guys don't get to hear it. Suck it. How's that feel? Being on the side of this one-sided abusive online relationship. I'm happy with it. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Get out of there, and then I can just chill. Question, do you have more viewers on Twitch or YouTube? Way more on YouTube. I kind of wish that it was the other way around, but what are you going to do? Especially when it comes to damn, this is controlling nothing. This is not turning the volume down at all. This is horse shit. I think it's probably Ear Trumpet being a bitch. Maybe it's changing the thing about, I don't know. Twitch is just a better platform for streamers in pretty much every way imaginable. So, all right, let's put this down in the thing. Hey, Mr. Austin Rogers, how are you doing? How's life? Feels like a kick to the balls. No, I like YouTube. YouTube's great for publishing content. There's all these controls that you get from Twitch, which are really nice, which are like a lot easier to deal with as a streamer. It looks like I was just fucking around with the interface today. It looks like they've solved a bunch of the problems because what they originally were doing was they had the original they were trying to cross over, they had the go live now thing, which was a pain in the ass. And then they also started their the old school YouTube studio features, and they ran concurrently. But if you hit the wrong button, it would launch something on both of them and then create two separate streams, one of which you didn't know existed. So you would have to hunt through the menus and be like, did I just send an alert to people and then not show up? It was a dark time. But anyway, it's coming back. Also, hey Zarin, haven't seen you in a hot fucking minute. How are you? How's life? Hey Zico, hey Marcus. Good to see y'all. I will be playing some Dusk later today, so if you were looking for more of a violence and machine guns kind of stream, that's where that'll take place, probably in about 3-ish hours. But for now, we're going to do adult stuff, kind of, sort of, and by that I mean we're going to try and make some assets for Raiders to port them into Unreal. It's been A learning process, to say the least. There are a lot of conventions. 3D design software is a lot more complicated than it seems, especially Maya, which is the stuff that I was trained on back in the day. Haven't touched this stuff seriously in many, many years. But I had to pick it up again because this is something I wanted to do, because making videos in Fallout is a fucking joke. It's like, it just feels like you're making it in Quake 2. You're like, okay, hit the record button, pull up the fucking controller. But now that I can pull all the assets out of Fallout proper, it should be a lot easier to do. Anyway, there are issues with the skeleton. I don't think you know what that is. But basically, this is just me hanging out with y'all, doing some of this work. You can ask me questions. We can just pretend I'm a big titty goth bitch. Just hanging out. Pretending like I might be interested in you for cash. Sound like fun? Cool. Me too. Goat legs issues with the skeleton. So I'll start from scratch here. Okay. I'll just import the base asset. I'm not going to go all the way as far back as like actually bringing the things over from NIF files, because that is its own headache among a million other things. Who is this? Is this a bot? I'm talking to Norm? Who is a bot? I'm mechaphobic. Not cool, man. All right, what's some chiller music than this to listen to? Ooh. Let's just listen to Mode Rat. Fuck it. God, they're not going to release new music anytime soon, are they? Will we ever play Squad together? Wait, you aren't interested in our cash? I'm not disinterested in your cash, but you know how I feel about giving money on this stream, which is, I feel like I actively discourage it more than I encourage it. But yeah, all donations this time around are going into Black Friday deals because I have to buy so much software. Mostly to compensate for all those issues. GeForce 198. I don't even see that person in the chat. Super Mutants at FO4 launch had issues with their legs. Well, I'll show you what the issue is. If you are unfamiliar, just go ahead and hide the channel box. See us a little better. Okay. Okay, everybody give me how deep do you want me to go on this stuff? Because this is like getting close to like real deep computer programming shit. Scale of 1 to 10, how thorough would you like me to be explaining stuff like this? Have I played Star Sector? Never even heard of it. Jinxed, for you, I'll always go really deep. The real question is, I started doing this on Facebook for the first time. Is this multi-streaming thing catching the Facebook thing? I don't think it is. Guessing that Raiders is 100% done? Certainly a guess. I'll check in every once in a while. Why don't you go really, really deep? Okay. Okay. Well, so all right. How to explain this? I guess I'll have to open up 3D Max for this too. Why don't you give him glistening abs with those sweet Bitfrost particle systems? You know it, baby. I had to learn a lot about morph shapes for this project because I wanted to be able to actually do proper lip sync and facial design. Probably keep the masks on for a while, but we'll go from there. Micro Center is God. They also have price match deals. Huh. Well, I'm not buying hardware. What are the name of the Raiders again? I forgot. I remember them. Timmy Glasscock. Did I have a Timmy Glasscock? Well, there's Raul, There's Avery. Benny, turret. Case. Stedman. I think and Kumi. See? There we go. Got them all. Heavily invested in this. Anyway, so here's the deal. You have to have specifically 3ds Max 2018. There's no way around this. Then you have to go download a whole bunch of bullshit, which is basically just like a couple plugins and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then you need to extract all your stuff into from the Bethesda files. And then you have to go find your meshes. So let's pull in a Super Mutant mesh. Why not? Because this hasn't been driving me insane the last couple weeks. So the way that you do this is you pull in the body, and you specifically have to pick the right skeleton here. So basically it's saying, okay, this mesh is bound to this skeleton, and when you move the bones around, each vertex will move a certain amount. You have to nail this dead on, because this is easily the most difficult part of building rigs, which is the thing you use to move characters around in games. Hey, Caleb, what's up? Wear dirt? Hey, they have software as well? I didn't know they do. If you see Substance Painter or anything from Topaz Labs on sale, you let me know. Also Marvelous Designer. Okay, but here's going to be the problem. If we import this skeleton, it might work. It might get totally fucked. It doesn't look like I got totally fucked this time. So I'm terrible at 3ds Max, mostly because I fucking hate it. Everybody seems to have learned on it, so they think it's better, but in my opinion, it's significantly shittier software. To each their own. Specifically, the bone system in this are just disgusting. Let's go with hidden line. No, not hidden line. Polymouse fat color facets. Wireframe override. There we go. And then the bones here. So here's the first issue you run into. Down here at the bottom, you probably can't see this. You have coordinate systems, and a coordinate system says, like, if you walk down the Z-plane, then you move in this direction. 3ds Max and Maya are swapped. So when you export something out of 3ds Max from this position here, facing this way, it's going to come into Maya this way. This is a huge problem, because when you're applying motion capture data, anybody who knows anything about geometry and Euler rotations knows that it's like you need a really consistent 0 point in order to be like, character moves from 0 to 5, and then 5, whatever 5 is, needs to be consistent among everything that you do. So if you do like motion capture, or you do any kind of editings, by the way, we don't hear your music. I know you don't. That is on purpose, because I will get... YouTube is much more unhappy about copyrighted material. So, I think there's a way that I can control a playlist for somebody else. I don't know. I'll figure that out one of these days if we decide to do more of these. So, basically, hey, Anze and Wadsworth. Good to see you as well. You too, Sapphire. And Andre, did I say hey to Andre? Orhan? Can't tell. Can't remember. Anyway. So, that's the first problem. Skeleton meshes are bound in such a way where you basically want everything at 0. So when you do motion capture, for instance, you put your arms out at a T-pose, and then it basically says, okay, everything is now at 0. Everything is rotational at 0, so that when I rotate the arm 20 degrees, the arm on the model rotating 20 degrees. Basically, it's like you're trying to copy-paste information and data between different nodes and whatever structure you're using. So this is a problem, because we can't use this skeleton correctly in any meaningful way, because it is now bound in the wrong Z coordinates, because everything has to be facing, it's called Z negative. So Z goes this way. And, so yeah, or Z positive rather. So Z goes this way. So this is Z positive. This is Z negative, X positive, X negative, Y positive, Y negative. But as you see over here, in order to rotate this so it's facing Z positive, we have negative rotational values. And yeah, that's really bad. That's really, really, really bad. And There's a whole bunch of crazy nightmarish stuff that I can't really go into at length about why this is really bad. Because basically we have to go in here, take every single mesh that exists, we have to unbind it so it's no longer attached to anything. So this does nothing. So let's actually undo that so we can see that it's actually bound. Oh, look, it does stuff. Hooray. Okay, so if you spin it around so it's the correct orientation, and then you unbind everything, and then zero out the rotations on stuff. Freeze rotations. You can do this. There we go. All right, now everything's at 0, which is problematic because you want to be able to easily lock everything into a T-pose the way that you could before, but now you can't. And then on top of that, you have to rebind all the meshes to the skeleton. So that goes like so. Let's do max influences 5 and then apply. Okay, but now when we do this, all the bind data is going to be fucked. See this? You know, I thought my pin bar was bad. I don't even know what that means. This is a dumb question, but can't you delete the history when you have it looking the right way? The history, Zarin. So Zarin actually brings up something interesting, and I'm going to turn this off so I can explain this. In 3D design, everything is based on history. Basically, it's basically like, okay, I can even show you it. I can even demonstrate this pretty easily. Okay, so let's make a cube. Here's a cube. Itty bitty cube. Scale up the cube. All right. So, cube, I'm not going to explain a lot of these kind of like, I'm not going to explain like a lot of the kind of like more nuanced stuff about nodal connections and things like that. But suffice it to say, everything in 3D design is based on history and like deformer channels and all this kind of stuff. And basically it's saying like, okay, start at 0, start with this like thing, right? You have something at a moment in time, which is like in this cube, it's like, you know, it's all these vertexes, 8 vertexes, and then you draw an edge between each vertex, and then you draw a plane across that. This is a quad, right? This is a polygon. No game engines use this. Game engines use tries, so that means they usually take every single quad and they cut it up like this. It's just a way of, it takes a lot more calculations to do quads. So like film industry uses quads because you can do a little better topology. Your details can be a little bit nicer. That's also easier to do physics math on it, on quads, like square data versus tri data. But for the purposes of this, let's not even go into that. Anyway, let's say we want to make some kind of wonky shape. So we will extrude this box so there's new polygons, and then we'll do that again, do that again, do this again. All right, cool. So now we have this object, right? And then you have these things called inputs, right? You have the actual shape itself, and then you have poly extrude 1, 2, and 3. Girlfriend's showing up to say hello.
Hi. Kisses. Mwah.
Could you make me coffee?
Can I make you coffee?
Because I love you.
All right, bye guys. I'm being sent away to make coffee.
She'll be back, but I'll be more energetic so everybody wins. All right, so basically, Jesus Christ, teaching Maya is such a motherfucker because it's like you have to go into like this kind of lexicon of general knowledge about 3D design that 3ds Max doesn't make you do, but you hit the limits of 3ds Max so fucking quick because of this. All right, so this is probably the best to explain. This is in the node editor. Okay. All right, all of these things are the nodes. So basically what we're saying is we made a polycube right here. That's we made it. And then we create what's called history. So this is a node which is saying extrude this face this much. This is the node that said extrude the face out this way, extrude the face out this way, and then, you know, turn this into a shape. So this is your final shape. And then you send that to a transform group, which is saying then we place it in the scene. Okay. So when you want to like a lot of weird stuff can happen. So like if we wanted to apply physics to this cube or some other stuff, physics nodes get put in between a bunch of other nodes, and it can get kind of confusing because there's like kind of an order of operations thing that happens, and things can get messed up. So usually what modelers do, and the way that you fix this, is you delete the history. Basically means you bake the history into whatever it is you've done. So we got to go with this cube. We've extruded the faces, and we want it to save this way. If we just delete these, if we just delete the history, like get rid of the history, we would actually get rid of these effects that we've done to this cube, right? So it's like if we just go here and then we do get rid of polyface 3, see, we've deleted that edit that we've done, right? Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. So we can actually add that back in. So we've added those things back in. So we collapse the history, we delete the history. So by deleting the history, we bake these changes into the actual cube itself. So we go modify, or rather edit, delete by type history. Okay. So now all we have is the shape, and then we have the transform node. So now we have a shape, which is a collection of vertices and faces and edges. And then this node says where to put it in the world, which is kind of like your top level reference object to let it know where it is. So now we have nothing to delete. So what Zara was asking was, can't you just delete the history? Problem is no, because skinning is history, right? Skinning is essentially, there's a bunch of input nodes which create skin clusters, which then say, yes, like this drives this drives the other thing. So we have this guy, this arm, this arm bone, which is going to be upper arm, our arm. Don't even get me fucking started on Bethesda's naming conventions. It makes you want to commit hate crimes. Hold on, I'm eating a dumpling. It should be arm, right, upper arm, or arm, upper arm, right. I've learned quite a bit of programming over the last 6 months. Something I've learned is some of the most brutal errors people make in programming, or just programmers make in general, is because of the English language, right? In the English language, we said the red house. We don't say the house red. But when it comes to programming, you really want that hierarchical relationship to stuff so that you can search things and in code use things that are really, really intuitive. So with this, you want to search for first skeletal mesh, then, or like rather you want to search for the skeleton, and then you'd be nice to be like arm right. So then you could pull up every single item that is arm right. When you do this right arm bullshit, it makes it significantly more difficult to like prune off objects. And it's a very, very stupid way of organizing information. I'm going to show you what this model looks like now coming out of Bethesda, and I'm going to show you what the model looks like once I'm done with it, and it's ridiculous. And I'm not even fully done yet. But anyway, this model has a bunch of also really complex stuff in it, which is one of the reasons why it's so hard to get right. So on top of these like master joints that are like actually move the arms around to create your kind of like larger articulations, you have a lot of like these kind of like weird intermediary like skin joints, which just twist kind of like twist fat around and like make the PCs like, you know, a little bit fatter, make the stuff move around, and it's all like it's a wonky way of doing it, basically. And it's something that they've had to kind of like, they take normal methods and then they reverse engineer it back into the shitty engine, right? And then trying to bring it back out into modern software, a lot of the math gets really convoluted and fucked up. So, hey Kay, what's up? So like, here's a good example, and I know this just because I've been working with it so much lately. These are the thigh bones, right? Okay, there's one on each side. And one thing that you really, really want in models is you want symmetry whenever you can have it, especially if there's no reason not to, right? So it's like if you have a chest, you want the vertices on the left side of the chest, left of 0, to be the same as the one on the right side, is like on the right side of 0. That just makes it so your model will move like in a predictable way, and then you can apply transforms after you've bound the model to like make it give it a limp or whatever. But basically, for the purposes of like an animator, you want that stuff to be really consistent in all areas. Problem is with this fucking thing, none of the fucking numbers match. So this is a different side of things. So it's like this one's like rotated 162.998. This one's 163.117. Like, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you add like a couple degrees here and there across like 9 to 10 joints, shit starts to get real fucked up real quick. So what ends up happening, because we have a different orientation system than 3ds Max, we have to fix it, right? So we have to spin it around. We have to take the mesh off. And then we have to remember how each one of these fucking vertexes is affected by every single bone down the hierarchy. And then we have to also fix the model, because here's the other wonderful thing about everything made by Bethesda, and I feel like I've actually softened on Bethesda over the last couple years. I really do think that they like making games and they try very hard. I just think that everyone, even with the best of intentions, some shit gets kind of fucked. But anyway, so let's kind of start from the beginning of what you have to do to make all this stuff work. And then I'm going to skip a whole bunch of steps and actually get back to working on what I was working on. So basically you have to go in here. And one of the other worst things about this is because Bethesda has a different coordinate system from 3ds Max, which has a different coordinate system from Maya, you have to transfer the quaternarian joint rotations, so the 4-axis joint rotations, into Euler rotations, which is a 3-axis rotation, and then you have to transfer that into a different orientation up in Maya. So you have a lot of weird, like, large value float math that's going on, which spits out a bunch of weird calculations. All right, Blonde Pants, you have a good one. If you want to stop by later for more bullshit in video games, that'll be later on tonight. So what we have to do is, oh my God, I just can't even believe how fucking difficult this is. Okay, so we got to delete the character bumper because it's a useless joint. And then we group all this shit together, and then we're going to call this the master group. All right. And then there's like a bunch of different ways that you can transfer skinning between stuff. Basically, there's like a lot of situations where you might want to alter a model after you've already skinned it, so they have tools for this. But there's one thing about Bethesda models which is just great. I'm going to duplicate this group. You'll understand why in a minute. So we have this model. And in these models, all these vertices should link to another vertice, right? So if we go ahead and select vertex up here in the corner, you can see, make sure it's on, I'm only selected one here. There we go. Each vertice should, like, when this edge comes to an end between these like 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there should be only one vertice that defines where all those edges are coming together, right? And if you don't have that, you have what's called, it's just bad geometry. You get some weird things called like non-manifold geometry, where you've actually bent the fucking thing so many goddamn times it literally goes into another dimension. I'm not kidding about that. But the problem with these models is they're fucking janky. They're just fucking janky. Like, no matter what, as nice as I want to be, these models are just rough. So when you have bad geometry, you get weird transformational stuff, and then the mesh doesn't work right. And also, video game engines like Unreal get really pissed off. So you have to go to this thing and merge vertices. And you're going to see that right now we have 1,992 vertices in this, and we merge them together, same amount. What about this guy? Same amount. Oh, I think I already cleaned this model, which is might as well be working better out than it was. Yeah, I already cleaned this one. Yeah, there's no fucking way in hell these things come out this clean. Well, anyway, usually it binds together a bunch of vertices, which they're like essentially like 1,000th of a millimeter off. So you have 2 vertices that kind of look like they're in the same place, but they're not. So basically what happened is whoever was making these models didn't clean them, right? So every single time I have to import a mesh, I have to clean it. So I have to unbind all of this fucking skin, and then I have to polymerge all the verts together, And then you have to delete the history. So much fun. And then you have to freeze rotations. All the rotations on fucking everything. So how does Jiggly-bit physics work? That's a whole different... That's a very, very, very different process. But I am going to do some physics today, so we can take a look at that in a minute. So once all that's done, we're going to freeze the transformations. Modify, freeze transformations. All right, so now everything here is at 0. We're not going to freeze the transformations on the skeleton here, and I'll explain why in a second. So we're going to take this, rebind it to the same skeleton as before. Binding is an entirely different, extremely complicated process, but I'm just doing the cheap and easy way, which is a lot more computationally intensive, but had to write some code for this to do this correct the first time. So like I said before, we have to, now everything is going to be fucked. All right. Everything is going to just do a bunch of weird shit. So there's a couple things that you can do in this situation. One of which is you can do something called, you can export weight maps. So a weight map is something which says like, okay, for each, it's like a square image, and then every pixel that's white is saying like each, God, this is just so fucking complicated. Let me take a look at this and see if I can explain it a little bit better. Well, here's what I'll do. I'll show you one that doesn't work, and then it'll probably make a bit more sense. All right, so now we have two groups, right? We have a group that we haven't fixed, and we have one that we have. But the one that we have fixed is unbound from the skeleton. When we rebind everything, we have to transfer all of this weighting data over to the master group to make it all work. So what we're going to do is, for like the SM rags, for instance, we're going to, let's export the weight maps from the body. And what it's saying is basically it creates an image for every single joint and says, okay, for every single joint, here's how this joint affects every single like vertex on this model, right? So we can go over here and supermuted body new, and if we've kept naming conventions the same, i.e. this model is the same as the new model, then we actually can load the weight maps onto this model. So before, when it was doing this bullshit, let's just demonstrate this really quick. Oh, that's the wrong one. So right now, it's going to do some weird shit. Fucking psychedelic nightmare sauce over here. We can come in here, and then we can load the weight maps on. All right, Benny weight maps. All right. See, all right, so we've already run into an issue. Because this root structure has the same name as this root structure, I would have to delete the one that we're transferring the maps off to in order to load it onto this one. I'm going to not explain the other complicated shit that goes into this. So basically what we're going to do instead is you can actually, if you have the models set up in identical poses, I mean, we're talking like every single vertex is in the exact same coordinate space as the other vertex, you can trick it into basically you're copy pasting. You're basically casting a ray from the normal of that vertex to mimic the weight of that vertex on the skeleton. That sounds complicated as fuck, and guess what it is? But you can get some kind of decent results. So basically we're just copy and pasting these things between them. So there to the head, SM rags lower, SM rags lower, to arms, arms, and arms. SM hat to SM hat, and super mutant mouth, super mutant mouth. Okay, cool. Now, when we do this, shit is no longer fucked. That's amazing. All right, cool. So what that process did was we took a fucked up mesh that had a bunch of really bad geometry. We fixed it, and then we spun it around so it's kind of in the right position. The next part is where shit starts to get exceptionally complicated because we hate this mesh. and we want to get everything back to 0. But because of the weird math that happens, 0 for this thing does some weird stuff. Like on this shoulder bone, it's fine. And on this shoulder bone, it's fine. But in reality, this is not fine. Because if we took this and we added this to 0, uh-oh, now the shit's just pointing straight up. We don't want that at all. So what we do is we have to take each one of these arms. We have to manually adjust it so that it's flat out. But the problem is we don't actually want this collarbone. We don't want this collarbone to point straight outward. We want the collarbone down more at this angle. But then we would have to eyeball it in at like whatever the fuck this is. And then subtract this from this, and then you'd get it. And if you don't do this, when you do motion capture data, no one has their shoulders shrugged up like this, like this pose that's on this right side. Like no human being looks like this. So when you pull in motion capture data, and I used to make this mistake, the guys looked like they had scoliosis. They were just like, "Hey, what's going on?" You're not parenting. You're transferring. You're copying over. There's like. So when you do copy, let's see. I'll just show you the actual. I'll show you the actual window that does it. So this is the copy skin weights, and you have a source and a target skin cluster. So when you do closest point on surface, it's going to look for like the closest vertex that's similar to the vertex as the other one, and then it's going to like just transfer that weight map over, because the weight map is actually an image that you're creating that is UV space wrapped to the model in order to make the thing skinned, which is why you can't fuck with UVs after you do skinning. Important thing to remember. Hey, Gray Paradigm, what's going on? Also, hey, Princess. But yeah, that's that. You can always hit me up with questions about this stuff, Zarin. So anyway, this is messed up. It's not awesome. But let's see. For the purpose of demonstration, we'll just do this. Take this, take you to 0. We'll call that. Okay. So if we want to unbind this again and then smooth these objects, which is what we're going to do anyway, we can just delete this other model because we've transferred the attributes over from that one. And then we can try to do this weight map method, and I'll show you why this is going to get fucked up. Watch. So everything now in this bone moves correctly, right? We move that, move the forearm, it all stays in place, everything deforms correctly. Even though it's a little weird, that's a Bethesda thing, not a me thing. So let's say we want to smooth this. Smoothing is an operation where you calculate some some intermediary geometry, which is like something you basically, it looks at the edges and then it calculates those edges and says, okay, there's an edge here at this angle. Here's the delta from this angle, and we're going to shrink it by that amount, and then and then add some extra polygons to make it smooth. It's a complicated fucking nightmare. It's what it is. But you can't do it while something's already skinned, because then that would create history, and the fucking meshes don't like that shit. So, especially because like what ends up happening is like the things that you do, like let's say I had a smooth node to mesh and take that to Unreal, that wouldn't work because the smoothing operation is something only that Maya understands. So if you added that node and sent it over to Unreal, Unreal would be like, the fuck is this shit? Like, I don't speak this language. I kind of still run on technology from the early 90s. So you have to do all the stuff that only leaves you with basically a static mesh that does not have any construction or deform history on it whatsoever, except blend shapes, but we're not even going to go into that shit now. So anyway, we have to unbind it. But first we're going to export those weight maps again. Weight maps, and then we're going to go arm weights. Broke your toe earlier? That sucks, man. Sorry to hear that. We're in the disk. Yes. Okay. So we're going to unbind this, and then we're going to smooth it. So we take this ugly, janky piece of shit, and then we go here, and then there's a bunch of different ways of doing this, but I just do it linearly so we can actually keep, if you do this, the exponential method, which is like Maya's preferred way of doing this. You get a much cleaner, nicer looking blend. Like if you were just looking at this as a person, it would look a lot nicer. But you get a bunch of these weird quads that are all over the place, and then you would have to go in and then triangulate all of these by doing this. Mesh, triangulate, and then your mesh just kind of looks like a spider webby piece of shit. And then if you wanted to like edit or do anything with this, it would be a massive pain in the ass. Like each little thing, if you wanted to go and select it, everything is like very non-planar. The loops are all garbage. It's really just not the way to go. If you're doing it like as a final smooth for like rendering in a movie, it's fine. But when you're doing it for gaming, not at all. So we're going to go to this linear method, which is the oldest way of doing this. But for this purposes, it's fine. So we just go to linear, and then we hit 2 division levels, and then you actually get a semi-clean looking mesh, right? All this stuff still looks kind of clean. It's kind of looped. And it's a lot easier to work with if you're actually going to end up working with this. So one of the things that I did was I made these meshes dynamic, so they actually look like real cloth. So you want good geometry for that. When they're all different shapes and stuff, cloth dynamics are just like, what the fuck is this? Raoul, where is my son? Seen him in years. To be fair, my wife Karen left me around the same time. Did it just occur to you that he was missing? Father of the year. All right, so we're going to delete that history. Hooray. And then we're going to rebind it to the skeleton. Add you, and then bind it. Okay, now we're going to get the weird. Well, we might not with this, but it won't. There'll be things that will come up that might make this do some kind of weird shit. Like this, right? The wrist should not move that at all. Very bad. Because it's just going down the line and it's basically just like stitching the vertice to the bone that's nearest to it. Art is actually a lot of geometry and shapes. You are not wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and import the weight maps from Bethesda, which is going to yield some interesting results. Weight maps, arms, weights, Benny. Okay. Now, watch this. What the fuck is this shit? What is this nightmare sauce? This is hell, right? This is body horror. This is like The Fly. You took too much and you know it, but you still gotta act cool. You're at Coachella. This is your vacation time. Anyway, it's all crap, right? And I'll show you why. Because the weight maps are essentially weight maps are they're actual weights. I mean, they're image files. So when you go to arm weights, you actually have images, right? You don't do cracks, so I think it's more of a mushrooms or a psychedelic effect. So basically what it's saying is take this. I'm gonna give such a fucking background on like UVs and how they work to make all this stuff make sense. All right. So basically when you apply texture to something, it does this thing called UV maps, right? You use these things called UV shells, which are basically clusters of polygons that you've essentially made flat, right? It's saying like, take this, whatever, take this polygon here, this triangle, and then map it to 2-dimensional space so that we can put textures on it, right? It's saying take this texture and put it at pixel 200 by 400, make it this size, and then that's how you do 3D texturing, right? It's a complicated bullshit process and it fucking sucks ass. When you make models, the UVing process, unwrapping your UVs and basically flattening them is like trying to flatten the earth. It never quite looks right, and it's always a pain in the ass. Texture artists and UV artists are gods in the 3D community. I think they make the most money too, which makes a perfect amount of sense. So anyway, what happens is when you bring in the weight maps, it uses these UV sets, these UV shell sets to say what is weighted to where. The problem is when you make things with fucking UV sets, you're not supposed to stack them because you get weird shit like this. Right? So each one of these little wrist things here has been stacked all onto this one little zone right here. It is bad juju. You're not supposed to do this. This is extremely, extremely bad form. No one fucking does this. This is terrible. This is bad data. It makes everything exponentially more complicated than it has to be. So when you pull the weight map model, it's saying, okay, well, it's using the same weight algorithm. It's like it uses this zone, right? Let's pull up that Photoshop image again. It's using this black zone for every single object on this wrist. Okay, it's like each one of these represents a different bone, and it's just fucked. It's terrible. It doesn't work. So that's the reason why we have to do the weird copy over method. It's a massive, massive, massive pain in the ass. So one of the things that we have to do is we always have to basically keep a secondary skeletal mesh around to project the good weighting data back onto the model itself. And if I really gave a fuck, I would just create 4K textures and then redo the whole thing. Well, guess what? I did that, but I don't want to go into any further detail about it because it's pretty mind-numbingly awful to do. So anyway, that's the process. There's a whole lot more that goes into it. There's a bunch of other issues with the joint orientations because they think that the y-axis of the world space is actually the z-axis because it comes from Bethesda, then it goes through Mount, a bunch of other crap. So this is what I've been working on for like the last month and a half, is getting all this shit to work. Because I don't want to go through the process of trying to find modelers to like reinvent the wheel. They're all the assets. They exist. They're easy to get a hold of. It's just the process of making all this shit work. So basically, I'm not going to go into it. But this is the file that does it. This is the file that goes through piece by piece and restaples everything together. You are the best. Restaples everything together in the correct orientation. Assigns joint transforms and limits and make sure that like polyweights are correctly applied and all this kind of shit. It's about 500 to 600 lines of code. And because of the way that Bethesda handles everything, it has to be different for every single skeleton. There's like 7 different skeletons for just humans in this game. And then you have to go through and, I mean, I've now figured out how to transpose this stuff pretty easy, but it's a bitch. It's a motherfucking bitch and a half. So the problem with why I was going into this is when you come in here, this is still skin, right? Yeah, you're still skin. You're all still skin, aren't you? Pokey. We want when we do the T-pose is extremely important because you basically want the character to have its knees pointing forward and its arms straight out, because that lets the model know where to rotate things. And then if it shares a similar enough T-pose, then you're able to go and transpose the data extremely easily. But in order to do this, Bethesda does this weird thing where the T-poses are like flared out like a duck. And it's not the right way of doing this. Like if I pull up T-pose model on fucking Google, you're going to see this stance. I love Getty Images and their ability to destroy everything. Okay, see this? Oh, good. This is an actual Sketchfab model, so you can see it. See how it's like really rigid? Whoa, look at the Putin package. Get on a bear, you sassy bitch. All right, so the reason is because the software wants to use basically everything has to be referenced for what is called the world space. The world space is like the coordinate system of the file. Like if you could just turn on a 3-dimensional grid, you'd see a dot, every like 10,000th of a millimeter, and then it would exist in all directions. And with each file, you're saying, okay, from 0, move this object to here, right? You're saying from 0, 0, 0, move it to 001, 005, whatever. So for joints, you're moving that joint to a specific location, and then you're saying, okay, rotate along this axis. For joints, you want those axes to be planar to Z, right? So that way it rotates extremely predictably. Yeah. And the reason why you do that is because you want to have a really standardized form of data across all your projects, all your models, all your motion capture data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the fact that they do this like extremely weird duck T-pose is very odd to me, and I don't really understand the purpose of it. And also, this comes in with the rotations that are on the model to begin with, and instead of these rotations being at 0, they're at fucking 180, which I cannot grasp the purpose of this. So now we're at 180 with 0, 180, and then with this guy, it also has like, instead of the joint just spinning along the kneecap, it has like kind of like weird remainder stuff. And the best way I've found out to do this is do this one at -10, do this one at 0, 0, 0, because joints should be fucking straight. And then this one here, and then this one at 35. And basically, these are essentially offsets, right? So we're saying that this is essentially down. Ignore this 180 bullshit. And then here we're saying rotate this joint 10 degrees from the down direction of this. And then with this guy, rotate that 65 degrees and then 35, right? 35 plus 65 is 100. And then you take that -10 off, that still equals 0, essentially, right? And that's predictable math that this program should be able to understand. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to unbind everything. And then we're going to do something a little wonky, which is we're going to select all those things. And now we're going to do joint orientations. And joint orientations are the things that says, what is the joint pointing up? Even though Y up is the like actual up direction, like if you were looking towards your ceiling, that would be Y positive. This is a fucking mess. And I'll explain why here in a minute. I don't know what that was. Hold on. Yeah, Mr. Pickle Strick. I don't know why you'd subscribe to this stream, but I'll take it. Thanks, man. Dem toes looking tasty. Hey, I'm Sly Seal. What do I do for a living? I was a VJ in my early 20s, and then I turned into kind of a freelance creative director, and I had like an agency for a couple minutes there. I also did some film work in my early 20s. I was a producer in Denver, Colorado. And then after that, I became a primary event designer for like 2-ish years. And I got really good at that. And then I got completely burned out because it was so terrible and stressful. And I became a freelance strategy consultant for a hot minute there. And then lately, just been chilling. Basically entertainment. A lot of multimedia entertainment. Right. Remember I was talking about everything's fucked in the Z-axis? Okay. So we have the Z thing. Now we need to freeze it because we can't have non-zero rotations. We have to tell this root joint what 0 is. I love your game. Looks cool. Hey, thanks, Latanks. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to freeze this. Freeze the rotation so it's 0. This is kind of a bullshit knock-on effect. So now, every single one of these joints no longer has the like relational fucking rotations. Now everything is 0. If you freeze the root joint of a skeleton, everything is now 0. Suck it. You don't like it? Fuck you. No one cares. So you have to now go in and tell each joint individually that Z is not up. Y is actually up. Whatever that was. Anime Loves Manga just subscribed. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Welcome. Batty Tony just subscribed. Ooh. Getting the feeling that maybe somebody's giving gift subscriptions and I'm not thanking them personally. Uh-oh. Hold on. I got to go and do a little login dance. I'm going to turn off the screen capture for a second. Whoa, look at these fucking gift subscriptions flowing in. All right, 1 second. I gotta log in to Streamlabs so I can actually thank the person by name. Hold on. You got this dashboard. Yeah, Mr. Pickles Rick. Whoa, that's just coming off hot and heavy, man. Thanks, dude. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 gift subscriptions from a first fucking timer. God damn, that's awesome, man. Thank you. All right, let's turn the desktop capture back on so that I can't be swatted, hopefully. Hey, Jazzy G. Oh, and thanks, Ryan, also for the subscription. My boyfriend's going to school for animation. Hell yeah. This anime fan anime doesn't love manga as an anime, never follows manga plots. When he says producer, he means he prepared the catering and porn shoots, right? I did a lot of commercials and a lot of music videos. And I have done some kind of like, I was a script consultant for like a little bit there because I'm a pretty decent writer. I've had a lot of jobs. Basically what happens is I'll get a job and then I will get very good at it very fast because I don't really do anything I don't enjoy. And I try really I focus really hard on getting extremely good at it extremely quickly. It becomes my whole life. And then usually what happens is I get to the point where I actually like rise to a high professional status very rapidly, but then I hate it. So like I really hated the film industry, so I couldn't do it anymore. I was a very prolific VJ. I did a lot of work for like guys like Armin van Buuren and Moby and so many different artists I can't even fucking remember. Went on tour a lot, but then that was miserable. Like, unless you feel like hanging out in back rooms and doing so much cocaine that your face goes numb, you don't want to work in the music industry. So like I went from that to like, I worked with a lot of creative directors and designers on that. And then I went into agency work. That's brutal. Everybody involved is like a fucking German narcissistic psychopath who's just like, move the vector graphics a little bit to the left, now to the right, to the left. Mein Schnell, what are you doing? And everyone's really angry. Super duper. What the fuck just happened? That was crazy. I like slammed my foot on the desk and that hit the trigger button. Whoa. And yeah, man, I wish I had tried Maya before the time. Before what time? Yeah, once you get good at something, you start to dislike it. So you better like the people around you. And in the design world, there's not a lot of good people. So I have like maybe 3 friends left from that world. One of my best friends, his name is Andy. He's a English motion graphic designer, one of the best in the world. It's like top 100 guys. He was formerly in charge of all of Nettie Porter's digital presence, which is like the biggest fashion brand in the world. But for the most part, I did not keep a lot of friends from that environment. We're still friends because he's just chill as fuck, and so am I. All right, let's jump back into this. So we got to orient the joints. Basically, what orient the joints means is that, like we're saying, when I rotate the z-axis, like so, what is it going to do? When I rotate z, I don't want it rotating around the world y. This is called the local z, and this is called the global z. Like the world Z, because the software thinks that Z is up, or the Maya thinks that Y is up, the skeleton thinks that Z is up, right? So what we have to do is we have to do joint orientation. So we have to go in here, and then we have to orient joint to world axis, and that starts this chain. And with this chain, we're able to go down the line, and we can either say match the joint to the world axis, or match the joint essentially as an offset to the joint below it. All right. And why is the German accent? Why not a German accent? How's the vertices treating you? Well, I'm still kind of explaining what took me months to figure out. So, all right. So we're going to go up to the COM, which is the thing that basically tells how to move stuff, and the pelvis. That can also be world axis too. because they're all supposed to point straight up. And here's where it starts to get a little bit wonky. Okay, so now we can no longer do it to the world, because we were saying when you're orienting stuff to the world, all right, Isis Scales, have a good one. Pleasure to see you too. When you're orienting stuff to the world, you're saying like this joint is matching the world, right? Or you want it to basically be, you want to say, okay, this joint, which is obviously pointing a different direction than the joint above it, make that relative to the joint above it. So we want the Y pointing down the bone, because we're thinking of this as a loop, right? So it's Y up, Y sideways, Y down. And then our secondary axis is going to tell us where our, which way Z negative is, basically. So we're going to go like this, and then we fixed it. This is Y now Y down the bone. Go here, and then we orient that to world. And then this is where shit gets fucked. So when we go in here, we orient joint to the axis that it should be, it does this fucking thing. Okay? This is bullshit. This is not how this is supposed to work. This is because of Bethesda's weird funky math, and it's a pain in my ass. So basically you have to get this orientation so that when the joint spins... Are you making a video game? Kind of. It's more like, I would say, digital cinematography. So now when you turn the joint, it does this fucking weird bullshit. It just corkscrews around. This is nonsense. So I don't know what exactly happens, but this shouldn't work this way. Usually it takes the vector that's drawn from this end joint to this next joint and says point the primary axis down that joint and do this to Z. Something about the way Bethesda does their math has basically fucking tripped up Maya so that it doesn't work. So here's the reason why your knees are messed up in Fallout 4. I don't know what they've done. It's a frustrating nightmare and I hate it. Couldn't hate it more. So yeah, that's the biggest thing, is I wrote software to fix everything. Every fucking thing in this. Or I wrote scripts rather to fix every fucking thing in this. I cannot get this to work because there's nothing else that I can do other than doing this manually. So this is the last thing that I have to do before I can start moving models into fucking Unreal. Okay, so this is Benny the way that it comes out of the game, right? Looks like shit, looks terrible, textures are washed out, everything's crappy. There's these vertices don't exactly match up, so there's like weird transitions. See how different this neck looks from this neck? Well, this is what it looks like after a bunch of processing. Rigs like this is the reason why we can't have nice things. Lichterberg, if you have much experience with rigs? So this is not representative of the final Unreal, but it looks way, 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 way ridiculously better. There's actual fall off, there's actual normals that look kind of decent. This chain is actually geometrical versus the one that's in the game, which is just a texture map. And then this doesn't exactly look the same because it's using a different rendering engine, but this neck, even though it's a separate model, transitions cleanly in between these two. Let's double check that with trans polygon displays. Vertex edges. Where's the vertex edges? Vertex normals. Okay. So, actually, that is something I forgot to do. We need to go and do that. Mesh display, vertex normals. Average those out, baby. Okay, cool. So what that means is when you vertex normals, so basically everything has a normal, and it's basically this kind of like secondary. These okay, I'm gonna go into some more theory. You guys asked for deep. Deep learning, so you're gonna get it. And I'll turn on these displays. These are kind of designed to help you like understand things better. There's such a thing. There's face normals and there's vertex normals. This is your face, aka your polygon, aka your tri or your quad or whatever. And it basically has this little extra hidden number that says, okay, here's out. And what out usually means from a vertex or from the face is just 90 degrees to the surface of the whatever, the face. And that is extremely important because that's how shading is done. So that's like when light from a video game engine or like light from a rendering engine or whatever hits that, And it'll be like, okay, well, if it's 45 degrees, then I know I should add some more specular fall off or whatever. When it's out like this, that's how you want it to be. If these things don't match, you get this hard line in between everything. So the meshes that come from Bethesda, of course, these are not averaged out. So see how this looks like it's actually going from one mesh into another, into another mesh very cleanly. If we don't do that, I'll show you what happens. Let's go ahead and unaverage those normals if we can. Okay, see how these normals are like, it's like two hairs. It's like two ingrown hairs that have just exploded. When you do this, you get a light seam right here. And that's one of the reasons why like the necks in Fallout 4 look so garbage, is because they didn't go through and then average out these vertex normals between the models. So we have to go in, we just hit this, go to mesh display, and then we go to average normals. So now everything matches. We don't have those weird double hair things. So now see how that neck looks nice and clean? Yeah, but I mean, like, just register for like one class, get the software, drop the class, learn it. It's fine. And it's also only $200 a year now. It used to be like $4 grand. Okay. So see how this, okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. There's like some little extra seams here. There's not a whole lot you can be done about this, unless I wanted to redo this, but this is also a little bit of the texture issue. But anyway, see how this like light now kind of like evenly falls off, so that it like looks like one contiguous model. Well, it's not. It's split right there. So that is actually a somewhat difficult thing to do. 200 is better than 1600. When's the next video coming out? Well, it's scripted and voice acted. Now we just got to get the models to function correctly, and then we're good to go. All right. So we have this perfectly working model. Works great. Everything works amazing. We also have morph targets on the face, which was an entire fucking ordeal that I'm not going to go into right now, because I had to use the 2014 version of 3ds Max, which I happen to randomly own before it was a subscription service, because it was given to me by a client. You have to do this. It's just a cunt. And I'm not, if this actually becomes interesting to people who actually want to do this stuff, I will go into this, but for now, fuck that shit. So we have the face, and basically the way morph shapes work is we have this mesh, right? And every single one of these vertices, every single one of these 20,352 vertices has to match another mesh. And that mesh is these meshes. There's around 40 of them, I want to say. Let me just hide the main group here. So we have these. These are just 40 different meshes. Well, let's see how many we got. I don't even know. But it's 1 million vertices. This is a 1 million vertices worth of face. And basically what this is, these are meshes that are held in memory. And each one of these vertices has to be labeled identically. We haven't even gone into vertex labeling, but each one of these vertices has a number. Like this is vertice number 475 or whatever. And on each one of these meshes, each one of these vertices at each individual location needs to have the exact same name. So you need to have the exact number of vertices, exact number of edges, exact number of everything for this method to work. And then you point these at the original face mesh, right? Unhide that thing, hide the faces again. And then you have this fun little menu system that you can use. And then we have all these basically like facial expressions, right? And then this is how you do lip syncing. It's one of the ways. You can also bind the face to skeleton joints, but let's not even. So this is all the little stuff: jaw left, jaw right, jaw open. And then this also drives the mouth, which is something I have to fix, but that's not complicated. That's just tedium. It's just inner open. So this is how, they blink. This is how they move. This is how they make the stuff. And all this stuff in Fallout 4 is automated. That's why it looks like shit. They're actually not bad morph targets. It's okay. It's not the worst. So that was a process. And I can't. It's like maybe I can even show you. Yeah, this will be fun. So, base import models, body parts, morph, mutant head. Is this right? And that was the one I already fixed. Humanoid head. There we go. Guess what? That's what the model comes in looking like. That's the morph shape for the thing. So the way that Bethesda really does this weird thing where they really like referencing the same model over and over and over again, and I don't know why. So what you have to do is each one of these fucking, oh my god, polygons, component IDs, vertices. Like I said, each one has a name, right? So you have to, I figured this out entirely on accident, but you have to use this thing called Xform, where you basically say, get the vertice location for this, and then find the vertice location for the base mutant face, and then move this vertice to that vertice, and then somehow that turns this into the super mutant face, and then you have to go through and do it for every single other fucking morph shape. Not even kidding. So each one of these, you have to do that, and it's a problem. So that's the reason why I had to spend a whole bunch of time like learning specific ways of coding this to make it all function correctly. So basically, I created a master import file, which now everything just like will automatically transfer over without even thinking about it. But for a while there, it was what we might call touch and go. All right, so let's go back to the actual problem we're trying to sort out now that I've gone through that. What is it, an hour and a half of exposition trying to explain what's going on? How long has this fucking stream been going on now? Oh wow, there's a lot of people watching this on YouTube. Okay. Let's take a look at this guy. So I've never done this with code, but I need to do this with code. So I need to figure out how to basically take this and we have to fix this fucking joint. This joint is cancer, this joint is cancerous, and when you try and move it, it does this weird wonkadoo shit. So we need to sort that out. So we're going to, just as to have as a backup, we're going to duplicate this. And this is duplicate special. So when you're duplicating stuff, like let's say if I duplicate this body, which is Control D, or let's just do it from here. Control, duplicate. It's going to create a copy of the mesh, but it's not going to have any mesh history. So this mesh is not in any way connected to the skeleton at all. It's just a mesh without any of the complex stuff that we've done. So when you duplicate special though, you're actually, remember we were talking about the history before? When you select all of this stuff, all the way to you want to select the master root node, you want to hit edit, duplicate, special, and then do you want to hit duplicate input graph? So what that does is it creates an exact copy of all the input nodes from the mesh that you're working with. So basically it creates a duplicate of everything. It's not a one-to-one, and there's some other weird stuff, but again, another thing that I don't want to go into. Okay, so that's basically our backup. And now we're going to unbind all this shit. And welcome to the wonderful, amazing world of problem-solving 3D software. So we're going to go into here, rigging shelf, and then just unbind everything. Noodle legs and symmetry, so they mirror instead of independent movement and rotation? Correct. So like these two things, they can flap, right? So it's inverted. So when I put rotate Z 30, right? Now with this one, if I do rotate Z 30, it does the same thing. If you don't mirror them, like if you don't make it so that like this side is the inverse of this side, this would have to be rotation negative 30 and this would be positive 30. And animators hate that shit, me included. So, all right, let's go ahead and hide. Oh yeah, remember I was talking about hierarchy and like naming things correctly? This is how you should hierarchically name stuff. This isn't even the right way. I just didn't want to go through and rename everything by hand. SKM for skeletal mesh, group skeletal mesh, group SK joints, all this stuff. So you can easily search this shit. Now I can just type in morph object super mutant face, and then just all of them will show up. The way that they had them set up before was like, I can't. It took me like a week of like working on it like an hour or two every day to unfuck that tangled nightmare of a situation. But all right, let's go hide this. But anyway, when you have it nice and structured like this, you can just go to the skeletal mesh group, hide it, and then you have a beautiful skeleton just hanging out there. What the fuck just happened with that bone? Whatever. We'll just open this. Also, see all these iterations? You're gonna, if you want to get into Maya, get used to making copies of stuff, because shit gets corrupted. You do something that you can't undo. Some weird fucking transform is applied that you didn't know, or there's like some history, or it's in the wrong namespace. Basically, backup. All right. So let's do this again. Duplicate, special, and hide. Take this, take all the skeletal meshes, and unbind all these guys, and then let's hide them so we can only work with the skeleton. Cool. All right, so let's select the root node, select every single goddamn bone, and just to make this a little easier on ourselves, let's show all the axes. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. Don't unreorient those. Thank you. All right, so see how everything in here looks sexy as fuck? Everything is clean as shit. Those are why. Ugh, good, mirrored, good. I put in these extra joints, so now that the cardboard on Benny's head is dynamic, everything looks great except you. You motherfucker. Nightmarish, goddamn. Pull vector mother. Make backups of your backups. I mean, so this is just the current round of files. There's also an old and an old one, and each one has about 50. I didn't know Python before this. I now know Python. All of it. I'm actually pretty decent at it now. All right. So, here's the thing we have to do. We have to, once you repair it and refit the model, how many times can you use them again? So basically, also, Stormy, what the fuck is up? How you doing, bro? Good to see you, man. Permanently. So, also this, I'll show you something else here in a minute once I actually get this sorted out. The meshes come in from Fallout very short, like the super mutant's like 5'6". So now I wrote a script so it like dynamically scales them. Now it's like actually, this mutant is now exactly 8 feet tall. But yeah, no, it's now Stormy, the way that this works is I basically have a master skeleton now. And then once I import the models that I want, I run the script and then it does everything for me and then basically rips it off of the old skeleton and puts it on the new skeleton. Upside down to the right leg of the knee joint. So here's the problem. This is correct. You want Y down the bone. We always want Y down everything because that makes sense from a very logical perspective. This one is also fucked up. Wonderful. Didn't notice that the first time. Let's just see if we can do that one by hand. I don't think we can. Probably not, but we'll just give it a go. Nope, that one's fucked too. Okay, so this is a joint. Other software calls them bones. And then this is its origin, right? But also orientation. Rotation, orientation are not the same thing when it comes to joints. Joints orientations are basically defining offsets from the rotation of the joint above it, or the location of the joint above it, because you don't want any rotations on anything ever because of this thing called gimbal lock. Hey, crazy Uncle Dave, what up? Good to see you, my man. So like everything here is 0, right? All these rotation values, show you in the channel box, easy to see, right? But the way that this math worked is this joint is at 0, but this one was set to 10 and then frozen at 0. So we want to give this a 10 degree offset, And to do that, we have to... Here's the question. I found the website, the page on how to do this. So we have to take this code, and then we have to just start fucking with it. But I don't know if I need to turn on component mode. We still alive? Totally not Roxy. Also still alive. People with OCD should never do 3D imaging and modeling. They will never meet deadlines. You gotta understand that like this, like everything about 3D is like, because these systems are so complex, they're just trying to like add little bits that make the original system less shitty. But like fundamentally, this is the same technology they were using in the late 90s. It just runs faster and there are like a couple more tools that you can use. But like we should have quaternarian rotations on pretty much everything, but it just doesn't, they haven't figured out a way of simplifying it enough for the common idiot artist like myself. All right, let's fix this. So first and foremost, I haven't actually tried to fix this yet. So we're going to try and troubleshoot together. This is going to be fun. All right, so we have this code. We need to run this. Maya has two kinds of code that it'll accept. It'll accept Maya, or it'll accept Mel-script and Python. I use Python, but sometimes there's just some stuff in Python that doesn't come over from Mel. Mel's the embedded language, like the code of Maya, but why would you learn a fucking language you can only use in one software? It's much better to learn. Oh yeah, totally not Roxy? You're welcome. My voice is dry as hell today. Okay, so we're not in component edit mode. Maybe let's go into select by component type. And then we go here and then right click on this local rotation axis. I think I now understand why that's fucked. Are you going to select? Rotate? Where's your component? Let me select your component. Come on, dirty girl. Let me select your components. Right click. Oh, it's because I put the wrong thing. There we go. Now here's the question. Let's pull up the PyMel documentation. See if I can actually just do this with the joint command and not have to use this janky Mel-script command. In fact, let's just go up here. That's the one that I did last time. Is this going to work? Nope. Invalid use of object true? That's not how that works. Oh, it's because I have you set on that. Okay, let's try this again. Nope, that only works on the actual joint itself. And I think we want to actually select the local, let's see here, local rotation axis. Okay, so that's going to be a component of the joint. So if we select the joint that way, that's not going to work. I'm looking up here to see if there's a way that I can directly edit the joint component local action rotations, local joint rotation using the script, but I don't think I can. Actually, I might. Maybe it's just embedded in the normal rotate function. General rotate. Oh, this actually might work. Let's try it. Okay, so we have that selected. If you want to find stuff in the outliner that you have selected in the like master perspective view, if you hit F while over the outliner, it'll go down the hierarchy tree to it. So, all right, let's go with rotate. What's the Mel code for this? So that's going to be probably relative and then the object space. So in Python terms, that's going to be relative is going to equal true, and then object space also going to equal true, and then we're probably going to need to just give it, maybe it'll just take a direct Unicode. It does just take a list, okay. It'll probably also take a tuple. So let's try that. 0, we want the Y rotation to be 0, which is going to be that way. And then we're going to want the X, oh wait, no, that's the X. We want the X rotation to be 10, Y rotation to be 0, and the Z rotation to be 0. And I'm going to put this into an actual proper script editor, so this isn't fucking. You can see the little bitty thing at the bottom. Can you tell I spend a lot of time in this thing? All right. I'll just put it here. Is there a way to zoom in? There we go, so you can see that a lot better. Okay, so what I was saying is, so this is another wonky thing about all software. Yeah, Missy, a big man, thank you for the follow. Awesome, Norm, glad to hear it. You are entertaining a Need to post these videos on YouTube so that people can look at all in horror of the way to work this. Might be a nice way to keep a presence up. Can't be the only one with the issues and questions. I also I don't feel as critical as Bethesda as I used to be. I realize that I think one of the things that here's what I think. There's not very many people making big RPGs anymore. I think it's really hard to do. Digging around so much of the Bethesda files, there's a lot of, you're trying to reference stuff that references other stuff, and you're trying to make things kind of leaf out in a way that makes logical sense. But it's relearning an entire new system, building an entire new file structure. It would just take probably 6 months to a year of really talented, smart people. So I'm not upset in that way, and I don't want it to come off that way. So I don't want those things to just be lying around yeah, fuck Bethesda. But it's just frustrating because it's when you're trying to reverse engineer it and bring it up to modern standards, it's rough. But anyway, I haven't even run this code. But all you're doing is saying Maya essentially kind of has 3 programming languages: Mel, which is the internal thing, and hey, Frex, thanks for the follow or subscription. I didn't catch which one it was. Let me check Streamlabs real quick. Yeah, thanks for the follow. It has Mel, it's Python, an old version of Python, 2.6 or some shit like that. And then it's PyMel, which is basically PyMel, the Python that comes with Maya. It's kind of a bad version of Python. It kind of uses the weird shitty syntax of Mel in Python. PyMel is actually converting it into the syntax that you would use normally in Python, which is the flags with the true variables, the booleans, and then the way that you pass data into functions, if that makes sense. So you can run a script at the beginning to run PyMel by default. And if you are into Maya, if this is something you want to do, I really recommend doing that. Also, if you're going to use Maya, you're going to have to learn PyMel. Or you're going to have to learn Python. The end. It will become incredibly useful. It's a lot easier than it looks, but you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay, so this is rotate. We're passing flags. So we're saying, hey, thing that we have selected, rotate relative to where you are. That's true. An object space, meaning the object above it, which is the joint above it, not the world space, because we did world space, then it would orient the joint incorrectly. It'll make sense when you look at it. And then we're going to set X to 10, Y to 0, and Z to 0. So let's give it a go. This actually might work. Python is actually, I think that most of the problems that exist, we're just going to do this. There's a really cool plugin for VS Code where you actually can just send the code directly to Maya, which is what I'm using, and it's attached to a hotkey that I have. Keyword after keyword arguments. I hate this sometimes. The syntax in this is not very obvious. Let's check YouTube really quickly. Having trouble playing this video. Okay. I don't know why. Let's go to syntax check. I might need... I may have to just do this in Mel. So basically, Python or Maya handles the way that you kind of do stuff a little odd. Some things you can only do. Sometimes you can only do transformations on stuff, or you can run functions on stuff if you call them with a string, which is why you can't have duplicate objects in any given scene. And Maya loves making duplicate objects, so it's a fucking bitch. But on top of that, you also sometimes it only runs on stuff on selection, but you can't just hit like, you can't just be like run selected. You have to create a list from every selection and then pass that into the argument, which is a little wonky. So like in this situation, it doesn't seem to want to just do the thing on the thing I have selected. So we actually might be able to fix this by hitting a string and then hitting a string of a list of SL equal true. And what that means is, so this is a string, right? We're turning this into a, so this is a list. This is the selection of the list. What it's saying is turn whatever you have selected into a list and then turn that into a string. And since it's only a list with one object, it might work. If not, we can just pass in the 0 index and it might work. So we'll see. And if it doesn't work, welcome to trying to figure out how to code in Maya. There are no tutorials and it's all trial and error. Okay, and go. Well, no, it's a different thing. Valid syntax. Yep, which means I have the wrong, means I'm missing a fucking thing. There we go. Non-keyword after keyword arguments. I might be using this function incorrectly. Okay, so that is a bool. You're a bool. Oh, looks like there might not be a, no, relative is bool as well. Relative bool. Object space also a bool. Maybe it wants might want this before keyword arguments. The way args and quargs handled this is kind of wonky. Didn't like that one either. Object pivot. Okay. So instead, let's pass in the first index of that list. That might have worked. Sure didn't. That did look like it did something. Yep, that did work. Hooray! Now let's see if we can unfuck the whole thing. Let's turn off. Let's turn off false. Let's turn that to false and see what happens. Kind of. Are you doing it relative in that way? No. Relative true. Object space false. Let's try that. Okay. So now we're spinning it in a circle. Probably take it all the way back to where he began, huh? Ta-da! All right. Let's just get rid of both of these tags. See what happens. This is how you learn how to code in fucking Maya. There's just like, there's so little. It doesn't seem to know what 0 is. And that's the part that like is freaking me the fuck out. Only fools rush in. Because it should be getting its 0 orientation from this guy. Who is... Let's go into just normal object selection mode. 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I feel like if I just pass the fucking... If I just do this as mel, is it going to work? I'm not going to learn the proper way to do this in Python if I can just do the janky way and it actually ends up working correctly. All right, let's give it a go. Object space, local object rotations. Oh, I might actually be selecting the wrong thing. Let me double check Yeah, I think I might have had that selected wrong. I think I had the skin joint selected. That might be the issue. Let's try this again. And if you guys want a more detailed explanation about any of this stuff, feel free. Oops, I didn't select the actual thing. So what we're going to do instead is sometimes selecting components is a bitch when you have this all lined up like this. So what we're going to do is right now we're just going to solo this. So you hit Control 1. What the fuck? That's not the right. There we go. Left leg calf. Okay, that might work. Alright, let's try this again. Nope, same fucking deal. I just hit undo in the wrong program. Okay, just try this with Mel then. Fuck it. Hate Mel, but some of the stuff just doesn't work. Okay, it looks like I have the wrong component selected again. Okay, try that again. Okay. Kind of working. Let's try that again, but with 0 everything. We won't pass the relative flag. You were going to give me cancer. I will lose my fucking mind. I may have to do this up the chain before this actually happens. Okay, let's go back to object selection mode and then go to the attribute editor. Joint orient. All right, that's correct. That is 100% fucking correct. I'm going to lose my motherfucking mind. Local axis rotation on this joint. Past the Mel. Object space. How about not object space? Maybe that is actually the problem. Fuck object space. Global space. Suck it. That doesn't do anything. This is the thing that's fucked. Is like, it doesn't, for whatever reason, it just doesn't take. Oh, it just doesn't let me change these values, and I don't understand why. Because, like, if I do it before now, it works. But when I do it at this point, it doesn't work. Yeah. I had to watch a video after video on audio manipulation for Reaper and Audacity to tweak the music for Best Saber. This would help a lot of people so much. Because I can manually do it by hand, but I don't want it manual. Okay. See, it should just be like... That's 0 to it. That makes no sense. Okay. All right, we have to go into the documentation again. Orient axes. Euler axis for orientation. Object center point, orient axis. Let's try rotate. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's start a fresh, just because I don't want to. Okay, this is what did I just write here? Okay, this script goes and morph shape renamer. Since there's like thousands or hundreds of morph shapes, I didn't want to go through and rename them by hand. That's a script for that. That's another alias renamer. Yeah, we'll keep you. I don't know why I edited you, so fuck that. It's always that great thing. You're like, I don't think I touched that. And it's like, yeah, you did. Live in fear. Okay. File, new file. Plain text. Python. Python. Okay. So, we'll just say AZ string. I prefix all my stuff so I know variables are made by me and not some other weird function. AZ string pivot name equals a list or a string of a list of selection at index 0, 0. And then now I can just use that to fucking whatever it is. AZ string pivot name. Okay. Rotate. AZ string pivot name. See? That's why you always prefix shit. Don't postfix stuff. Prefix stuff. This is like something that people, because they're born in English-speaking countries, really, really fucking struggle with. And it's like, God, it makes me so angry. Because, so I prefix everything that I make with AZ, so AZ list, AZ string, AZ tuple, everything. But then I just type in AZ, and then it's like all the stuff that I made is right there. Can you use manual to get an idea of orientation, then reset the overall so it equals 0? Or with the, so the problem is that like I can do this. Actually, you know what I might be able to do? Maybe I could just look at, it's this, whatever flag this is. What flag is this? This is the thing that's fucking me up. It told me to do something wrong. Yeah. You missed something, didn't you? Force order. That's what it wanted. Okay. Let's try this. Force order. Let's go ahead and just clear that out so I can kind of see what we're doing a little better. And go here. Go to, just pass in what we were doing before. I was just trying to do 0, 0, 0. And we'll keep it world space, but we'll do force order. Make sure that's still selected. Okay. Pivot is selected. Let's run that. What did that do? Anything? Did you do anything? Did you do fucking anything? Are you useless twat? Is that what you are? Yeah, you are. Let's pass in something, make sure it's actually working. It is working. I just... okay. Just don't understand why changing this number here is different from just adjusting it here. Maybe it's this? Nope, that also changes the joint location. Oh, breathe, 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 breathe. Okay, it's definitely the force order thing that's making this happen. Maybe if I do it to world space? Let's try world space. Maybe we can do this in world space. Force order true, world space equal true. I'm gonna get fucking cancer. I'm gonna lose my mind. Hey, Yaggert, what's up, man? Okay, back to the documentation. try object space. Current YZ axis. We'll try object space. We'll try Euler first. Course not. Let's try turn that to false. We'll do relative to true. You do nothing. You do nothing. I don't know the last time I did a stream other than like the last couple days, Jagger, but it's good to see you, man. How you been? All right, let's try something completely different. No, I don't think that's going to work. Well, I'll just pass it anyway. Let's go ahead and duplicate that. So we're still looking at PyML documentation, and then we're going to go to the joint command. Let's see if we can just edit this. Component, position, degrees of freedom, exists, limit switch, limit z, name, orient joint. Let's try something really quick here. Joint from AZ string pivot name. I'm going to put OJ 000. Let's just try that, see what happens. Expected string. Expected a string. Oh, it's O, not OJ. Fuck you, OJ. You're not half as healthy of a juice as you pretend to be. Interesting. Oh, you just made a joint because I'm an idiot. Because I put the wrong thing in. I didn't specify edit mode. So if you don't specify edit mode, it just makes a new joint. And that is not what we want at all. Okay, that works, but it doesn't. It just fucking reorients the goddamn bone. I wanted to fucking edit the thing without editing the bone. If you guys can figure out how to do this, if you guys can just Google the right thing, I won't lose my mind. Set the orientation of the coordinated axis for scaling. We can try the ZSO flag, see what happens. Nope. Get fucked. Get fucked me. So fuck that. Try scale compensate. Let's try that. Let's just try it. Let's just try it. We're just trying stuff now. Who cares? Life is meaningless. Everything is an illusion. Maybe you are a fucking computer simulation. Maybe we're a computer simulation trying to create computer simulations. What nightmare are we in? Scale compensate. Yep. Wait. How about now? Fuck me. Use the position switch to position the joint relative. No, that won't seem to just, that's, try. No, that's the default. Try relative, maybe? You can see the misery here is like the documentation is not awesome. See? Bonkers sauce. You got fired while on sick leave? What the fuck? I'll start the chemo drip and read it for you. I know. Yeah, I know. Believe it or not, guys, this is the most difficult problem I've run into. I don't understand why it's not working. It has a very specific reason for doing what it does the normal way, and I don't know why these joint orientations refuse to get edited. It's really strange. Let's see. Let's just try and search for this fucking solution, because I'm going to lose my mind. Take the red pill, you'll be fine. Yeah, like the documentation for this is horrific. It's like really, really bad. So a lot of stuff, it's like they'll just be like, "This takes Unicode." You're like, "But where though?" Hey, Merc Bandit, it's you. How are you? All right. How do we do this? You edit it. Let's just do OJ, and then we'll just do. I really just want to see what happens when we try this through code and not through the actual thing, but I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, see, it does this weird wonky shit. Let's try not the absolute object space. This is the rotate, isn't it? Okay. Rotation, order, scale, scale compensate. Scale orientation. SAO. Let's try secondary axis orientation. Let's try. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Huh. Thanks, fail. Appreciate that. I think the last time I was able to watch regularly was when you played Kenshi. Oh, I miss LaBeouf. Hey, Ninja, what's up, man? All right, next option. Let's just try and set the fucking joint attribute itself. Well, actually, let's get a list of the attributes it has. Windows General and a connection editor. And then this is never in fucking alphabetical order because the world is just a pit full of uncaring, disinterested, selfish souls. But it'll be a three value matrix, so. And then this doesn't always match this, which is always super fun. Joint orient. So it should be either J, joint type Z, joint orient X. All right, let's just try this. If this works, I'm going to have an embolism. Okay, so we're going to set attribute for left leg calf dot, what is it called? Joint orient X. But it's capital X. Don't fuck that up. I've fucked that up plenty. I'm going to set that value to, what are we at right now? 0. I'll just see what happens. Not enough data was provided. The last 0 attempts will be skipped. Not enough data provided. You suck my ass. So what we're doing now is we're just saying, we're trying to manually set it because it's weird because some things basically are doing operations after you've done this correct. There's some things that happen before the skeleton basically gets moved and then after the skeleton gets moved. And it's what I think what was we're running into here is it's that same history issue we talked about. Let's just try joint orient. Just give it a fucking tuple. Who gives a shit? How's this for your fucking data? Unhashable type list? It's not a list. What are you talking about? Are you asking for a list? Is that supposed to communicate information to another human being? Okay, well, normally I just give you values in tuples and you're okay with that, but for some reason you want to be an asshole. Let me see if I do this differently here. Nope, that's the way it works. Not enough data. So this is the thing about everything to do with Maya. Everything works differently. You think you're going to figure out a way to do something, and you're like, I'm just going to do it this way. Nope. It's just the way that you get locational data from objects is so different from how you get locational data from vertices, and I have no idea why. So we still stuck on the knee joint? Yes, I'm still stuck on the knee joint. Welcome. Left leg calf. Well, that's the first ring. Is about the wrong name in there. Joint orient X. Yeah, that just moves the goddamn... Can I pass an edit flag into this? I don't think I can. Why the fuck does... What? How did that work? It makes no sense. None... Why does a single... I don't... So, usually if something has like a single entry, you can just pass a number, like any integer and it'll work, right? But it says not enough data. But if you pass along a fucking set of numbers to something that only takes one value, that's enough data. Good God. Okay. See, this is how people lose their minds. You should watch the video on like guys that made Half-Life and like all the little notes they left about the code driving them insane. 'Cause that's how I feel right now. Okay, let's try edit. True. Very unlikely this will work. Whatever. Fuck it. Didn't think so. What kind of fucking data sandwich is this? I don't know, but it's filled with shit and I don't like it. Okay. Oh. All right, let's try this. I'm just gonna delete this fucking bone. I don't know what kind of black magic happened that turned this into just such a miserable experience. But I'm going to go back to where we haven't fucked with it as much. And I'm just going to delete it, maybe? So I'll just put another joint. Hey! Sakun iron. Not starting all over with it. I'm just trying a different approach because like I said, it's like you learn a way to deal with one problem, but Maya is such a patchwork of so many different programmers and designers and like heads of technology that were in charge of it in so many different eras. Nothing is dealt with the same way. Like some things are dealt with like dot methods, other things are dealt with like selection methods, other things you have to pass strings in order to select. Like it's wonky. It's wonky as fuck. So like in that situation, I just don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix that at all. With code, I would probably have to email someone who's like an expert in rigging. Okay, so here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to create a backup copy of this guy. And in order to just not make this even more complicated, let's just, actually, no, we'll do that. We'll do that, and then we'll hide it. And then with this, we're going to unbind all of this. Isn't that fun, kids? Okay, and then go here, hide this, and then we're just literally, okay, where's the location of this bone? The joint translate, it's just this. That's the number we're trying to keep a hold of. 57.798. Okay, and then we're just going to go here, and then we're just going to go to quick notes, put this in, just, it's here for now. And so maybe if we just delete this troublesome bone, we won't have to deal with it anymore. So we're going to go to this and then select thigh, and then we're going to go to create a joint. I could do this with Python, but let's just do it the old-fashioned way. So you should be under thigh. Good. All right. Now we're going to take the left leg calf skin and left leg foot, and we're going to put that under joint 1 now. And then we're going to take this new joint and see if we can get it to not be a raging fucking asshole. Okay, orient the joint. Then we're going to go primary axis Y. Then we're going to go Z and then Z positive. Eh? And that one's fucked up too. This makes no sense. Okay, so that is somewhat correctly. Okay, see? It came in kind of okay. But for some reason, when we just try to fix it, is it something to do with the joint below? I don't think so. Nope, that joint looks great. I wonder if I unparent it from the one above. Maybe if I just reorder the scale location. No. What the hell? What have I done? Let's go ahead and do it to the Y. YZX. Does that change it? Nope. No. No. Fuck me, right? Fuck me, right? Let's just unparent this from the whole fucking skeleton. And what about now? Now it's still fucked up? What's going on? What the fuck is going on, guys? Guys, what's going on? I don't understand. This is supposed to work. Why do you think? Global axis. Cool, 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 cool. Cool, cool, cool. Down the bone. Why are you doing this? What's happening? This isn't supposed to work this way. It feels like this is bugged or something. Hey, one for Mrs. E. What if I brought this down this way and then reset its location? How about that? It still doesn't work. Sound like I'm having fun. I sound like I'm having I'm having like a psychotic break. This could not be more strange. This is not how this tool usually functions. I don't get it. Every other model I've worked on, this has never happened. Okay. Let's try turning inherits transforms off. And then here, it's just like, I don't understand what the issue is. Is there something wrong with a group that it's nested under? Let's go all the way back to origin and see if that does anything. YZ, secondary axis, Z positive. So essentially, like, how this is supposed to work. Let me see if I can just draw a fresh joint chain, and then if it does the same fucking thing, then maybe there is actually like something wrong in the preferences that needs to get fixed. Okay. Let's select all these bad boys. Toggle axis locations. Select the hierarchy. Why are you not? Local axis visibility. See, this is what it's supposed to do. It is supposed to point down the bone. Scale compensate. Variable bone rating sound. Symmetry off. Primary axis. Joint orient to world. Let's just try manually set joint orient Maya. This is what you put in earlier. Rig joint orientation. I'm so desperate. I'm looking up general tutorials, hoping that one thing just might have it. Oh. Jesus Christ. What if I just did this? Hold on. Here's an idea. If this actually works, I'm gonna like throw a fucking hissy fit. Somehow we've moved the fucking thing. Alright, yeah, because the damn leg. Alright. File new scene. File open. Scene. To the one that's driving me insane. Dootin' dootin' doo doo. You will all pay. Okay. That's a joke. Please don't report me. Skeletal mesh. Unbind all of you. How'd you take your coffee? Chunky, please. Yes, correct. Done. You have nailed it. I will take that chunky coffee now. All right. Hide this. So here's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and splice in a bone. Let's make that so that's on the grid. Okay, and then select both of those things. Toggle joint orientation. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this son of a bitch and then just do that. Except that's not the orientation I want. I want the X pointing X positive, I think. Is that how I had it? It's been a while. Root. Hey, root. Show me your orientation, you slut. So we actually want that X negative. Okay, that's fine. All right. So we're going to go Y down the bone, and then we're going to go secondary axis to the X, and we want that facing to the X negative. All right. Now that is the orientation that we want. Okay. Pick that son of a bitch up, then rotate his ass around like this. And then we're going to go find this bone. Left leg calf. I'm going to throw it out the fucking window. We're going to move this guy. Collapse that so we don't have to look at it. To the thigh here. That's fine. All right, then we need to translate that 0, and then whatever our value was here. Copy that over. Or we could have just snapped it to the fucking calf. That would have worked too. Wait a goddamn minute here. Did that not copy over? Sure didn't. There we go. All right, and then let's delete. Well, we want to take the calf skin and the leg foot and then parent that to joint 1. Watch this break everything. Nope. Seems to have not broken everything. Oh, what the fuck? Okay, delete that joint. Leg calf. Left leg calf. You're dead to me. Joint 1. Delete that. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I deleted those in the wrong order to make it work. Take this guy, move him to here. What the hell? Okay. Alright. That's how he lost his fucking mind. Alright, now we're going to do a very different way of trying to solve this problem. We're going to do a target manipulator, which is one of my least favorite things in the known goddamn universe, but whatever. Move you here, snap to vertex, good. Vertex 2, where's this joint? Joint 2, and then we're going to make a goddamn aim vector. Wait, is that the wrong one? I hate these controls because they work the inverse way of like every other kind. Okay. Aim constraint. Is it locator to... I think it's the other way around. So we go to this. Joint 2. Aim it. Here we go. How far are we? We're almost there. Alright, behold the most manual way of fixing that imaginable. Alright, so we delete the locator, and then the fucking attachment goes away. But it doesn't stick, apparently. You have to delete that one, not the locator itself, because of history issues. Go to here, delete joint 2. Holy Christ. Okay, that's how we fixed it. And that's how I lost my fucking mind. Okay, foot to joint 1. Okay. Cancer, cancer, cancer. I have fucking cancer. All right. Sorted. Done. Dunzos. Let's get everything else parented under that guy. And then never speak of this again. Left leg. Calf. And then since that now works, we should be able to orient this shit correctly. Toggle that one, go to world space orientation, and now that works. Ta-da! Done. Done, 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 and done. I have no idea what the fuck that was. That was so strange. Then we gotta go freeze that transform. Make sure that's still good. Good. All right. See, now I just have that 10-degree thing right where it needs to be. Holy Christ. All right. Cool, now watch this. It works like a joint should. Pink, pink. Oh, Christ. I feel like that took years off my life. Oh, and here's the best part. I have to do it again. All right, cool. At least that's a method that we know actually works. I've solved every other problem with like generally straightforward code. I have no idea why that one is so hard to find. So like riggers are extremely well paid in this industry, and I now understand why. Because this is a fucking nightmare. Okay. But on the plus side, now that we actually have proper zeroed out rotations, we can just go into component mode, go into here, image plane, select that, and then we rotate this shit. We can hit J, and then it should snap, except it doesn't want to in this mode. So that's probably because it's in gimbal mode. Rotate, object space, there we go. But now, there we go. J for snapping. So there's that. Z down the axis. But we actually want to do something a little different. We want to do this. All right. That's now done. So we have to transplant this son of a bitch into the joint system again. But you know what? It's probably too boring even for me right now. All right, gang. It's going to do it for me. That's how the fucking sausage gets made, kids. How'd you enjoy that? Huh? Imagine 1,000 little issues like that. 1,000 of them stacked on top of each other. One after the fucking other. But yeah, that's what I've been up to the last couple months, because that is how annoying it is to shoot Machinima and fucking Fallout. All right, let's put that joint there. And then we'll put the locator, well, whatever, I'm just going to do this right now anyway. Okay, locator to joint 1. And then aim that son of a bitch, locator down. And then we're going to snap that son of a bitch right there. Bam. Inverted. Correct oriented. Raul is no longer going to have an embolism. All right. Cool. Cool. Done and done and done. All right, I'll finish the rest of this off air. You're funny. Thanks, Natalie. Can the skeleton be used for multiple characters? Stormy, if you have any specific questions, hit me up. But the short answer is yes, kind of. The way that this is going to work is this was like the last super mega awful why is this happening problem. Everything else is now fine-ish. And I now suspect, I now understand why there was another control that wasn't working that was freaking me out so badly. But, yeah. I now realize that I just could have done this by snap rotating that, and that makes me very angry. But I did it the hard way, and now I know the easy way, which is, I guess, the way that it usually ends up working out for stuff like this. Fun for me. But yes, so the way that I have the system set up is it's able to transfer skeletons very easily. I'm going to keep streaming. I'll probably stream again in like another hour. We'll play some Dusk, and then we'll go on about our merry lives. But yeah, just wanted to, got to make it for last time. Got streams to do, and I'm doing this pretty much every day. So if you're in the more for more masochistic behavior around the creative process, you can tune in. But basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to leave. Yeah, I'll just turn the stream off. There is no reason to have this on. That way there'll be a gap in mute. You might actually come back for the video game. All right, so that is going to do it for me. Adios muchachos. See you in a couple hours, and if not, I'll see you again whenever I see you.